Hey everyone, you're listening to the Grace Auburn Church Podcast. I am excited about today's conversation as we continue in conversations with members of our church, whether volunteers or on staff with local organizations. I just realized in kind of kicking this off that I'm joined today by three members of the campus outreach team who is focused on reaching international students. But one of them, by the time this posts, will no longer be on campus outreach staff. So that's like a weird Twilight Zone moment of this was recorded in the summer of 2025. But Rainey Ketchum will have come on staff as Global Outreach Director with Grace Auburn. You may know her as that at this point. But prior to that, she worked with Campus Outreach. So, Rainey, welcome. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Blessed to be here.
And Alex and Brittany Watkins, we're excited to have you guys as both members of this church and still, as of the airing, God willing, of this podcast. You guys are on staff with Campus Outreach as well. Welcome to the podcast.
Yes. Thank you so much for having us.
All right, let's do this. Rainey, we're going to start with you. And over the course of the fall and into the spring, there will be multiple podcast conversations with you. One of them will be, why do you want to work for this church specifically? We'll get to that. And when we post this, that's already aired. We'll link to it in the show notes as well. But before we get into Campus Outreach, your story there, how the international student ministry here at Auburn has taken shape, I'd love for people listening to the podcast to get to know you guys. This series on our podcast that's kind of bounced around over the course of 2025 really serves two purposes. And I told you guys this before we recorded. One is that it would shine a spotlight on that ministry. So many people, if they didn't go to college somewhere that had a campus outreach, or even here in Auburn, because of how focused CO is here on international students, they may not know what campus outreach is. So that is a goal, is for them to know what is going on with campus outreach amongst internationals here in our community. And then the other is that they might be encouraged, that members of our church might be encouraged to hear the way God is moving in and through the members of this church. And so today that includes you guys. We'll get to that in a moment, but for now, give us the quick version, maybe not we're just talking about your story version, but the quick version of how you got involved at Grace Auburn, your journey into membership here at this church.
Yeah. So I grew up in Birmingham, the youngest of 9, big family. But I grew up in a church that was very mission-minded. And I ended up, when I graduated from high school, I went to Troy and was involved with just internationals there. And the Lord really just cultivated a heart for the nations. And I ended up, after I graduated from college, I went to Japan and served with Mission to the World. And if you had told me 7 years ago that I would be living in Auburn, working with internationals, about to marry a Kenyan,
yes,
I'd been like, no way. Because I left Japan thinking I was going to be a long-term missionary there. And the Lord, I always joke that was my plan, but God's plan is better.
Sure.
And so I came back from Japan in 2018, and I came on staff with Campus Outreach International Student Ministry in 2019. Mm-hmm. Served in Troy for 2 years, and then moved to Auburn in 2021. And when I got here, I had a mutual friend that knew Raina Armstrong.
Yes.
And one of my first Sundays in Auburn, I met Raina for the first time right before church started. And that kind of started months of just visiting Grace Auburn. Mm-hmm. And I was also visiting another church, local church here, and honestly, it was just like, it was a natural transition to become member here at Grace Auburn, because as I was engaging internationals and it was in the international community here in Auburn, I kept meeting people from Grace Auburn. Mm-hmm. They're like, where do you go to church? I go to Grace Auburn. I was like, Lord, I feel like you're trying to tell me something.
All right.
So I became a member in 22 and truly loved it. Felt like a family here, and have grown in my walk with the Lord and met my soon-to-be husband.
Yes.
So very blessed.
And again, listening to this now current husband
yes.
of multiple months at this point. Yes. So that's exciting. We've loved getting to know Thomas, and having y'all as a family come together is super exciting. So Watkins, what about you guys? Y'all jump in together, individually, however you want to, your story, your journey into Grace Auburn.
Yeah, for sure. We are both from Andalusia and went to different churches in Andalusia. Alex can kind of talk about that. But I grew up my whole life in the same church, never moved, super small, super traditional, loved it. Was obsessed with the people that went there, mostly all elderly. There was a few kids my age and just loved it so much. And so I came to Auburn for college and really wanted to be open, but that was my background. So, and what I was used to.
Yeah.
So didn't really know what I was getting myself into or what I wanted in a church family. But ended up going to a local church around here. Fast forward a couple years, Alex and I are dating and getting serious, and we knew that a desire that we had was to go to church together. And so I started going to his church, and then after that we got engaged and we're getting ready to get married. And so really wanted to choose a church together, a church family that we could just grow with in community and fellowship and walk alongside with. And so that's when we started visiting churches. And Grace Auburn is actually the only one we visited.
Hey.
And we never left. And so after a few months going through that process, we decided to become members, and the rest is kind of history. So that was, I guess, a little under a year ago.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah. Right
so
on.
we've been here about a year.
Mm-hmm. And I, just a little bit of my story, I grew up in a military family, and so most of my childhood was moving across the country, and Jesus was never talked about at home, and so I didn't know who Jesus was till middle school, where my neighbor had invited me to church, and I started going there. And so middle school and high school, I kind of church hopped and lived a cultural Christian life.
Yeah.
Partying on Saturdays and getting drunk and chasing girls, and then on Sundays, cleaning my act and going a little, what's the word? Just, I guess, going high to church. But through God's grace, He brought me to Auburn, and again, through the Oaks, I got plugged. Through the Oaks, I was convicted of my sin, but also freshman year, I was living the same life, and I actually came to Grace. I was living as a cultural Christian at Grace the first semester.
Okay.
Through God's grace, He brought me to my knees just through a lot of suffering my freshman year. And I knew that I needed to surrender my life to Christ. And so after freshman year during summer, I surrendered my life to Christ over just a period of just depression. Just surrendered my life to Christ. And everything kind of changed after that. Got plugged into First Baptist Opelika. Really just felt like the Lord and the Holy Spirit was working in my heart and growing me there. Got plugged into a community for the first time at FBO. I never really had gotten plugged in at Grace.
Yeah.
I think that was more of my fault.
Yes, sir.
Grace's. And so, just the Lord dramatically changed my life, and it was totally different from freshman and sophomore year. And started going to FBO, First Baptist Opelika. Went there for 3 years, sophomore, junior, a little bit of senior. I went through IMB to India. Just so much zeal for the Lord and just sharing the gospel. Just how much the gospel has changed my life.
Yeah.
I wanted that for other people, and not just Americans, for other countries. And so I came back after India, just being kind of culture shocked and just, again, just almost another dramatic change of like, wow, I want the gospel. I want the Lord to use me to share the gospel to all the nations. And so me and Brittany got together. She's already explained, like, we got together at the end of sophomore year. I went on the trip, so we were actually long distance for 2 months. And then we got engaged junior year, and the Lord kind of just supernaturally, honestly, just the Lord bringing us back to Grace Auburn.
Yeah, that's so good.
Just through so many circumstances.
Yeah.
So now we're here.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Now you guys find yourselves on a team together, serving amongst international students. Let's define some terms, all right? So we've thrown out CO, ISM, a whole host of things. What is Campus Outreach International Student Ministry? Who all else is on this team with you guys. What's the focus? How do you do what you do? I'll kind of throw all that on the table at once. Why don't you start, Rainey? Just kind of give us an overview of COISM, and then we'll just kind of see how the Lord leads in terms of talking about what you guys do and how you do it.
Yeah, so Campus Outreach International Student Ministry, so COISM, technically started in 2017. Campus Outreach ISM is like the umbrella below Campus Outreach traditional. The international side of Campus Outreach is relatively new. It started at Troy University, reached internationals there. But our team is currently, the ISM team's at 3 different campuses with Campus Outreach. So we're at South Alabama, Troy University, and here at Auburn, of course. Alex, do you want to share like a little bit of what it looks like for us?
Like day to day?
Yeah, give us. That's probably the easiest way to explain it in terms of, when someone asks, what kind of ministries do you offer? You kind of go through the week, right, as a church, in terms of how are you reaching the community or serving the members of the church. You guys obviously targeting international students, 100-ish nations God's brought to Auburn. What does that look like on a day in, day out basis for you guys? How do you spend your time? You guys are all on staff, so it's vocationally your calling. That's a little bit unique in this series on the podcast. For some people, it is their job. It is their vocation. For others, they're volunteering. And we'll get into volunteer opportunities with you guys in a little bit. But for y'all specifically, as members of Grace Auburn who are on staff with COISM, what does a week look like?
I said I would say being on staff with Campus Outreach towards international students is more, I would say, relational. It's very relational. So it's like going hiking or walking with students, getting coffee with students throughout the day, getting dinner, lunch. Just kind of like providing ministry through that way relationally. But also we have events throughout the week. So Fridays, on the end of every month, we have like a big welcome dinner for students, and that's like 100 to 150 students come. We provide dinner, we cook it up during Friday, get the groceries Thursday, and we provide kind of a place of hospitality for them.
Where do you guys do that?
And we do this at Covenant Presbyterian.
Yep.
And that kind of allows us to love them, and also it's also a place of building relationships with volunteers that come and with internationals there, or even internationals that are already Christians that place their faith in Christ. That want to come and kind of mingle with students that don't know Christ. And so it's just a place of this relational building. We have a Bible study every other week as well. So this past semester, we went through the parables of Jesus. And that, I would say that's more, it is reaching internationals, but also there's students that, again, already know Christ that we're able to disciple them well through the Bible study. Would you all add anything?
Yeah, I think it's very relational, as you were saying, and also very flexible. I think that's one of the main things that we say about our job is it's very flexible. So anytime a student can hang out, we're dealing with their schedules as mostly PhD students. And so they are extremely busy. They're also extremely smart, so they can teach us a lot. But we, hey, can you get coffee in between your classes? Would you want to go on a walk? Inviting them over for dinner. Alex and I, enjoy hosting students for dinner. And then it's also been cool as I volunteered during my college years, like at the end of it. It's been cool to transition onto staff and see the difference in, it's still building relationships, but being on staff has opened, so many doors of time and given all of your time to the Lord and being like, okay, I have all this time, Lord, how do you want to use it? And who can I connect with today? So I would say that's our like day to day.
Cool.
Who's open this week?
Yeah.
How can we hang out?
And one more thing, we also provide a lot of there's a local ministry called Friends of Internationals.
Yep.
And that's like our plug for, I guess, practical needs.
Yeah, sure.
To the international.
Yeah.
So a lot of times we're providing furniture, providing food. They do like welcome baskets.
Yep.
and I know a lot of churches actually partner with FOI in that.
Yeah, we've done that in the past for sure. It's I said too. See, it's fine. We one of the things we know having as many internationals who are a part of our body is that some come in with a high degree of like understanding of what they're getting into, and others don't. I want to ask you guys, like, as you experience someone who's showing up here for the first time, what are those conversations like? Like when we think about moving to Auburn, most of us are either moving to Auburn to go to college, or we're moving back to Auburn because we went here to college, and it's kind of a coming home, so to speak. But for people from all over the world, you're moving to a completely different country with whatever you can carry.
Yes.
And then having to figure it out along the way. How do you guys experience, whether it's through Friends of Internationals, and if that is kind of the primary front door, so to speak, for those who are showing up here for the first time, what is that experience like for them? Like if you were trying to be a voice for them in this conversation, talking with a largely American group of members at Grace Auburn, what's that experience like for them?
Yeah, I would say for the little bit I can experience, like I can relate to them living in Japan. Just everything you knew is just totally different in a different culture.
Right.
And navigating even how to go grocery shopping. And I know that the early few weeks students arrive in Auburn, they're trying to get their Social Security card.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out how to get to their classes. Some of them don't even have a bed at first. They're sleeping on a mat on the ground.
Right.
So I think practically they're coming in with really little to nothing.
Yeah.
Unless they have connections with other students from their countries. But I think that I've noticed the Lord's really blessed Auburn with a great community of churches and even just organizations, individuals that love these internationals and network together to figure out. Like we've had students that had nothing, and we've contacted 3 different families from 3 different churches, and by the end of the day, that student had fully furnished apartment.
Yeah.
So like the Lord, I think, has really blessed this community to help these new students specifically with practical things.
I love that. When y'all think about the international community that you're developing relationships with, is there a specific target? Like, do you guys, and maybe this is as much about your roles on the team, or do you guys all have the same roles? Is there a specific group of internationals like you're praying for? How do y'all go about, that's a lot of folks, right? And you can go a lot of different directions, and reaching someone from Southeast Asia is very different than reaching a Nigerian. The Nigerian may or may not already be Christian. You hear what I'm saying? Like, is there a specific focus for COISM? Is that based on y'all's really preferences and prayer and asking the Lord to put groups in obviously a people group in a micro form, right? If there's 45 people from Nepal here, do you understand my question?
That's a really good question.
Okay.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's prayer of, Lord, there's so many people. Where do we start?
Yeah.
And allowing the Lord to bring certain people to you and build those connections and just trusting Him with that. I think like we've found our friendships to be with a lot of Iranian students. We never would have known to even pray for Iranian students. Had it not been the Lord just bringing those connections. And so I think that's a lot. I think we really want to dedicate our time to learning about, all the different religions, all the different cultures and worldviews, which really helps in relating to certain students. But ultimately, everyone's different. Yeah. And so just getting to know the person in front of you and letting them tell you, because they love to be asked,
Yes.
Where are you from? Like, tell me about it.
Yeah,
what do you love about it? What's hard about it?
Yeah, that's good.
And so honoring them in that as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I would say also, I find like our closest relationships are the ones that are the most curious about the gospel and more curious about us in general as well. So just seeing their curiosity for Christ and how we're able to, I guess, share that in natural relationships. So, and obviously I'm a guy, so I'm going to be having more male relationships.
Sure, yeah,
and
yeah.
They're going to
Makes
have
sense.
more female.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have to say I've prayed some very specific prayers.
Okay.
I remember when I came on staff in 2019 at Troy, like I prayed very specifically, Lord, please place a Japanese girl in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Troy is a lot smaller than Auburn.
Yeah, no doubt.
And there were 2 Japanese girls in Troy when I got there, and one was a believer, one was not. And just that was such an answer to prayer, and also just saw the Lord's faithfulness in that. And then when I got to Auburn, the Lord just continued to answer that prayer, and I met several Japanese students. One is a member here, Takaki.
Yep.
And just that I would say those are some specific prayers.
Absolutely.
But the Lord has blessed me with friendships from all over.
That's good.
Yeah.
You know, the challenge, you moved to Japan, you're learning one culture.
Mm.
It's very different than yours, but you're asking and praying, God, would you give me wisdom and discernment on how to hear, love, and know this group of people with these set of beliefs or culture or expectations, whereas you guys live in a world where it's constantly evolving. It's constantly changing. You've got over 100 different cultures and places coming to this place. So it really is, I think, learning to ask good questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a learned skill across the board, whether it's inside of marriage or it's inside of a relationship with someone from another country. It does me so good to know and hear that it's both and, right? Like, yes, Lord, I would love to know Japanese girls. Not me, you. And I would like to know a Japanese girl. I know Takaki. He is not.
He's not a girl.
Takaki is not a girl. Which, to your point, I'm thankful he's a guy. I can get to know him in a better way. All right. So, as we think about your ministry, everything revolving around relationships, asking God, would you bring us into contact with people that we can get to know, love, and serve? The church in Auburn, I would agree wholeheartedly with what you said, Rainey, about the way in which so many churches and different members within those churches love and serve the international community. And we continue to pray, God, would you bring those who are not of the faith yet from other countries into our midst? And we thank God every time he continues to bring more of those who already are brothers and sisters from around the world. The second largest nationality at Grace Auburn is Nigerian. And so
that's awesome.
It continues to amaze us that we as a church in a town like this could just say, Lord, would you bring whoever you want to bring? And would you help us be a good neighbor and a good friend to them while they are here? And we're thankful for COISM kind of on that front as well, really being a kind of tip of that spear as we think about engaging the international students who are here. I'd love to go from just kind of nuts and bolts of how and where and what to some stories. If you guys have recent stories you want to share, and maybe you need to protect identities, maybe you don't in terms of names, I'd love to just know, and our people I think would love to know, man, who are a few people? What are some things that we can celebrate God doing, or we can pray with Alex and Brittany and Rainey on those fronts? So I'm just going to put that on the table. Let one of y'all pick it up and run with it, and we'll see where it goes.
Alex, I can share, and then you can share about your friend. So the Lord placed my dear sister. I call her my sister neighbor friend because we are neighbors.
Nice.
And she became a sister a few years ago, but I knew her before she became a sister in Christ. And I saw the Lord work in her heart. She had just the Lord pursued her and had been pursuing her way before she even came to Auburn. She actually became a Christian through another local church here in Auburn. But the Lord allowed me, as she was my neighbor, once she became a Christian, she asked me to disciple her. Oh, wow. And I had just the privilege to see the Lord work in her heart. And also it was iron sharpening iron. Like she challenged me, encouraged me, and now her and her husband are members of this church. And just to see the Lord work in her life and to see him just pursue her was a really cool thing to know her before. Yeah. And now be blessed to be her sister.
So good.
Live life with her.
I love that. What about you guys?
I would say almost a similar experience as Rainey. I met a guy from Brazil named Chris. His name's Cristiano. And you roll the R. I can't really roll my R's. And he wouldn't mind me saying his name. So
yeah. I want you to try for Cristianos.
Cristiano.
Nailed it.
Probably should be.
You nailed it. All right.
So I got to know him last year, and he's a very jokey guy, and we kind of just hit it off and became really good friends. And he's been to a lot of our Bible studies, men's Bible studies. He helps. He actually helped before he gave his life to Christ. He actually helped volunteer for our dinners.
Very cool.
Just his willing heart, and
Yeah.
again, just shows like how the Lord has been pursuing him before I even knew him. And so I invited him to Grace last semester, and he just fell in love with Grace, and just it's almost like I could just see the Lord change his heart in almost real time, and it's just so beautiful to see that in person, and to know like he's actually one of my deepest friends as well. And we had, we went walking one day, and he was like, "Hey, I want to give my life to Christ," and so we prayed together, and ever since then, I've been kind of discipling him. I've actually been reading through Philippians with him. I've been just going, like, I've just been going with the church, like,
Nice.
Hey, we're going to read this together. And again, it's like iron sharpens iron. It's not like me over him teaching him, because he's teaching me as well in his walk with Christ. And so I would say like very similar to Rainey and her relationships. And it's just it's just really beautiful how the Holy Spirit works.
Yeah.
And you've met him. I think we've met a couple of times.
Yeah.
But
I think it's been really sweet too, watching as we've brought Chris, our church family, surround him.
Yeah.
Because we've only been members here for a year,
Yes.
and we're slowly building connections. But as we brought Chris, people surrounded him as well, and so we've brought him to our community group, and our leaders love him just as he is a part of it.
Yeah, that's sweet.
And so that's been really sweet to watch, and grows my love for the church even more.
Yeah.
Watching them love him.
That's so sweet.
Love students that we bring.
As you guys think about not only the needs of your ministry specifically, I think a question that I don't really know how to ask, so I'm going to try to flesh it out real time with you guys, is as you experience all of these conversations, is there a thread, or is there some sort of common spiritual hunger? That's the word I keep coming back to. Like, what is the most consistent need? I mean, yes, practically, hey, they landed here and they've got a suitcase and a backpack. Those are very real needs. We'll talk about how we can do more of that together as a church here in a little bit, or kind of as we round out. But I guess my last big question is, what are they spiritually longing for? Like, if someone were try to ask you a question, hey, what conversations do you have the most of? And that may be a loaded question, because maybe someone with a Hindu background and a Muslim background are going to be very different. But I would imagine there's some consistency there. Do you guys understand what I'm asking? I think I got there well enough. But
ultimately, they're hungry for the gospel. They just don't know it yet.
Okay.
And
what does that look like?
Yeah. I think we see a lot of loneliness. As we talked about them coming. Suitcase. That's it.
Yeah.
Loneliness can show up. I think right now, practically, there's a lot of visa restrictions, and so that's really scary. And so I think they're longing for security of some sort.
Yeah.
And time again, they're finding it. They're finding they cannot find it in the government,
right,
of whatever country. Whether they come here, that might be what they're seeking, and stuff changes, and it's not here. Where can I go? And so trying to meet them in that right now, as that's such a prevalent thing in their lives, that we can trust in something higher than that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Anything to add on that? You guys, I mean, that was a fantastic answer.
Yeah, that was. I would just maybe add just that they're looking for a family. They're looking for somewhere to belong. They're a lot of internationals are so highly relational, highly want to invite them into your home and vice versa. And I think that they long for that sense of belonging, sense of family.
Yeah. So I mentioned at the very beginning of this podcast, in terms of the members of this church, you now serve on our staff team, Rainey. And what I'm excited about in that is that your friendships, relationships with both internationals, with the Watkins and the rest of your team, there are so many overlapping circles now between our body and what the Lord is doing on campus. And so I'd love to talk for just a few minutes about ways people can be involved. You mentioned Friends of Internationals. We talked about furniture. We've made multiple references to different minivans showing up at different places, gathering furniture over the course of our time today. Some of that off-air pre-recording. How can people get involved? What are the needs that, let's say, someone who works 50 hours a week doing whatever, they work on campus, or, well, that's not a bad example because they could be involved with international students on campus, but someone who maybe doesn't rub shoulders with an international student on a regular basis, how can they support you guys? How can they come alongside of CO, ISM, and Love and Serve Internationals in our community?
Well, I think if you're not running in circles with international students, but you want to make an international friend, a really easy way would be to come to one of our dinners.
Okay.
You could just come, sit down, and, there's tons of people to meet, so you can make a relationship there. You could also bring food for that, or drive students there, because that's a big need of, we don't have enough drivers and transportation.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I think just simply just befriending an international student, and maybe not even with our ministry, you could just invite an international student into your home.
Yeah.
And provide hospitality. That's very important, and that is that's always going to be in their mind, because when they come from their country, they usually have a gift to bring to someone, whoever, because maybe their culture comes from a culture of hospitality where they regularly invite people into their houses. So when they get here at Auburn, they're expecting someone to invite them into their home and able to give them that gift. And so I believe just inviting a student to your house is very important. And also there's members here that have international dinners that we are graciously able to come. Yeah. And that for them, just talking to those students, like that means the world to them. Yeah. And also just to get to see what a Christian home looks like in first person. But also you could support us financially in our ministry. And would you have to add anything, Randy?
Oh, I think y'all did a great job. Good job, Watkins.
I think you did. Yeah.
Add prayer.
Yes. Oh, prayer. Yeah.
Please pray.
Please pray, because none of this does anything without prayer.
Well, and what I love about this church, I love so many things about this church. My kids specifically, my oldest is 12, and I remember vividly those first 6 to 12 months that we were in this building, and we had chairs that we got to leave out over the course of the week, and we started putting prayer cards in the back of the seats. She was 6 at the time, but her best friend in first grade was from a Muslim country, and we have about 50 cards praying for that little girl. And so one of the things I love about Grace Auburn is for our children, they will never remember a time when it wasn't normal to pray for people from other places.
Yes. Yeah.
And even so, like, we've been to visit friends and family in different places, and they're like, when are we going to pray for the world? I was like, well, we're probably not in here today, but we can do that afterwards. But for them specifically, like, as we teach the next generation of what is near and dear to the Lord's heart, people from every tribe, from every tongue, and every nation are near and dear to the Lord's heart, all made in his image. And he's brought them all here. Yes. I think that's the wonderful thing about living in a place like Auburn is Andalusia is not that way, right? It's high. There are people from other countries, but Auburn is such a concentration of people from all over the world. And I think that's true in a lot of college towns, but specifically, God's given us that gift. And so we don't want to miss that opportunity. So we will absolutely pray for Campus Outreach International Student Ministries. In the show notes, we'll link to the page that can connect them with you guys, specifically whatever you want us to link to. Rainey, we'll probably put your email in that as well. Rainey@graceauburn.church. And really, I think more than anything, what I want people to walk away from this conversation with is that God is doing an amazing thing on campus. He's brought people from all over the world, and making a friend from another part of the world is not that difficult. They're eager to know Americans. They're eager to know, like you said, to be invited into a home. We have so many people in Grace Auburn already doing that. You probably know someone who's inviting internationals into their home. And so we'd love to make those connections. We'd love to introduce you to Alex and Brittany as well. So, guys, thank you. This has been a real gift, a real joy.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're thankful for everything you guys do, and we pray that the Lord continues to do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
On behalf of the Grace Auburn Church family, thank you for listening to the Grace Auburn Church podcast. If you'd like more information about partnering with us and our mission or ways that you can get connected, please go to our website, graceauburn.church.